Well, welcome to the Calibre cast. So today we're continuing our conversation around real stories in AEC, and we're here today with Blake Gude. Blake, would you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Blake. I've been working at Calibre Engineering for 3 years. I'm a University of Maryland alum, and just recently passed my PE exam. So just have paperwork to do before I actually get my PE license.
So you're official after you fill out your paperwork, but not before.
Yes, after I fill out my paperwork, which, it shouldn't be that hard.
Taking the test was the easy part now.
Exactly. That's what they always say.
Awesome. Well, let's dive in here by learning a little bit about what you do. So what has been one of your most defining projects?
Yeah, I think to this point, my most defining project, especially at Calibre, is my Lebanon, Pennsylvania dementia clinic project. It's been really cool because, for one, and the subject matter is interesting. It's a healthcare project, which I feel like you can always feel pretty good about designing a new healthcare facility for veterans. It's good on the moral scale, but more specifically on the project scale, it's a very complete project. There's basically all the elements of like a civil engineering project that you would find are on this project. There's drainage, there's utilities, there's some road grading and creation, basically the whole kit and caboodle. And there's coordination with a lot of disciplines. So yeah, I've just really enjoyed how full the project is. And then I've been working on it mostly by myself. Like I've been the engineering lead on it, I'll say that. So yeah, I feel like it's been a nice summary of what I've learned as an engineer thus far. And I've been able to do it at my pace and see how I'm doing overall in the project. And I think it's been a nice measuring stick.
Yeah, that's great. So I presume you've probably done projects where you're just doing a piece of the work.
Yes,
Do you
exactly.
prefer doing one where you're doing the whole thing or just a piece? How do you feel about that?
That's interesting. I feel like the project we're talking about is a medium, I would say, size project. It's bigger than one house, but it's, it is one building. So one person can do all of it. But on a lot of our other projects, it is simply impossible for one person to be able to do it all. I think in a perfect world, I do think you would probably be more efficient doing it all yourself just because you have that consistency of thought behind your design, but definitely goes faster with more people involved. And I will say when you're learning, it definitely helps to keep your focus small and just do your portion very well. And then you kind of get to learn how that interacts with other parts of the project, especially if you have a coworker that you're working on it with. You might be, you'll find yourself making a decision and then you'll realize how that affects that discipline. And then when you're doing it for yourself in the future, you can kind of think that oh yeah, while I place the inlets, I have to remember there's grading involved in this too. And there's coordination with the architects and all this stuff. So I think if I had to choose, doing it all by myself would be kind of more cohesive. But in terms of, I don't know. I don't know if I want to be stuck on a project. If I had a mega project that I'm going to do all myself, I don't want to be stuck on a mega project for 6 months straight and just be sitting there looking at the same thing every single day. So because of that, I'll have to go. I appreciate switching up a bit and working through projects faster with the team.
I could see that.
Yeah.
I like that there's a little nugget of advice in there for sort of young and starting engineers, which is to just take a little piece you're doing and learn to do it well. And it's okay not to know how to do everything because there's other people there to support you and help you in your learning.
For sure. And you really will find that it is all kind of tied together. I think for me as a young engineer, I felt more comfortable when what I was working on felt more isolated because it's okay, if I mess something up, it's only going to affect me and they'll know it was me, the new guy, whatever, and it'll work out. But then I think as you kind of learn more and more, you realize actually a lot of this kind of all ties together, at least a little bit, especially on more challenging projects. Just if it's not super basic, there's design issues that you have to coordinate with. The solutions to a lot of design issues start becoming really you change 3 different elements to be able to work your one element the way you need to.
That's amazing. I haven't heard anybody say that, but you're right. You change one thing and it's going to change 5 things on the site.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to change 5 things just to get the one.
Yeah. And like pushing and pulling, like you know, you start out a design thinking you have, I feel like inevitably, maybe for me at least, I start out with design thinking, oh my gosh, this is perfect. The conditions are perfect. This is so easy. I can make this work. And then, you know, you start detailing down and then you start realizing what your constraints truly are. And yeah, but it really does help you learn, like, yeah, focusing down on your task and then just realizing what needs to change when you need some help.
I love that. So one other thing you said that I wanted to sort of hit on, you're talking about the dementia clinic, and you said it feels good on the moral scale. So when we talk about what really makes us passionate about what we do, it's tying our values, who we are as people and what we value, to the work that we do. So can you talk a little bit about how you connect your values to the work you do?
Yeah, for sure. Overall, as on civil engineering, that is something that kind of drew me into it. You know, it's a very real, physical field. Like a lot of the projects you work on, you could drive past and observe. You know, you can see it happening. That definitely, that feeling of like help, like building the community and like doing something real is certainly something that pulled me into engineering as a whole, but more specifically civil engineering. Like it really does feel like that's what I did. Look at it. There it is. I helped. Or like you can point to a problem. Like I think Calibre does excellent work with like drainage solutions. That's a pretty significant portion of our stuff. And you can observe like, okay, there's flooding going on here. There's undercutting, or the environment or like the stream is not doing well. Our job is to come in and fix it. And it just definitely makes you feel like you're helping the real world, making an actual difference.
I like that. That's very concrete of you.
Yes.
I could see my project right there.
Yes.
How I did that.
Exactly.
So I think what I really like about that is that you're talking about how you know the problem that you're trying to fix, or you know the problem that you're trying to solve. So the converse of that is when you don't know how to fix what you're doing, or when you're doing something and it feels like a failure, or it feels like you're not going to succeed. And I think there's a lot to be learned from those moments as professionals. Can you talk to me about a moment you have had where you felt like giving up?
Yeah, for sure. I have a more like project example. We had a 95% submittal and then a very quick turnaround to 100% in, I want to say it was like 2 or 3 weeks total from the 95% submission to the 100% submission. So it was a tight government deadline, and we got a pretty significant change of scope after the 95%. Really felt, and it really felt overwhelming. Like, basically just like looked at the amount of work we had to do and the amount of time we had to do it and thought to ourselves like, I don't know about that. The easy part is what kept me going to that question, and that is your team. Like, you know, it's one thing to think to yourself that you're not gonna be able to make it in time, but when you have your coworker who's, you know, working just as late as you, working just as hard as you, and trying everything they can to get this done too, you can only also do your best and match that, you know? I think that applies to more than just like difficult project times in the field, to like helping your team out even if you're not feeling motivated that day, or, you know, you feel like you're overwhelmed, but then you just look over and you realize, yeah, so is the rest of the team. Like, it does help you keep going for sure.
Yeah. What do you do to crack that feeling of overwhelm when you're just like kind of deflated and feeling like there's so much to do? What do I do?
Yeah, I definitely, I feel like on my team dynamic, I'm usually the encourager. Like, I'm usually the person who tries to get everybody like going again. And I feel like what I personally like to do is to talk it out, like maybe make a list and try and make it feel as simple as you can. Like, even if you know to yourself, like, I'm going to say something like, all I need to do is just update the grading. And you know to yourself that could be a very long task. But if you just say like, got to do this, got to update the grading, and then you have to update the storm, and then we're good, you know, and then just getting to it also. Like, it really is, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? Like, you just have to get started. And truthfully, a lot of the time you realize that there's a saving grace. Like, oh, We don't actually have to redo everything. We're halfway there already. And you would only know that by getting going. So, yeah.
That's wonderful. So we've run through all of our questions.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else that you want to say or wrap up our conversation today?
I don't think so. I think that's all I got.
Okay, great. Well, some really cool takeaways from Blake today. Do your best, lean on your team, encourage others, and take the hard times one bite at a time.
That's right.
Cool. Thank you. We appreciate having you.
Thank you very much.